Right. Good to go.
All right, outstanding. I will call the February 12th, 2025 meeting of the Village of Belleville Plan Commission to order at 6 p.m.
That's for us to talk to.
And if we have roll call.
Yep. Chance Kosmarski.
Here.
Mike Service.
Here.
Perfect. Gary Ziegler.
Here.
Jeff Larson.
People turn around down here.
Jeff's on mute.
He's on mute. I see he's here though.
92%.
Jared Wells.
That's why I'm
Here.
And Larry's not going to make it tonight, and I don't believe Jerry is either. But you have a quorum.
Speaker.
I'm going to ask if you are not. I'm going to mute people. If you're not currently speaking or need to speak, please keep your mics on mute, just to avoid any background noise. Thank you.
Okay. Having called roll, is there anyone who wishes to be heard on any agenda or non any agenda item? You can speak now, or you can wait until we reach that item of the agenda. Does anyone in the public have anything? Hearing no one, I'll move into the consent agenda. Looking for approval of minutes from the January 8th, 2025 Plan Commission meeting.
I'll move we approve the consent agenda.
Second.
Okay.
So that's a motion by Gary, seconded by Mike.
Okay.
Correct.
All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Then we'll need approval for the meeting minutes from January 8th.
Just did that.
Oh, sorry. I heard something different. My bad. Moving into the chair report, I have nothing. Staff and consultant reports.
I'm just gonna note here that I put the GEC memo here, not necessarily because it needs to be talked about here, but just because it's for all of the items on the agenda, and it was an easy place not to have to repeat the thing. Ian, it looks like has a. Ian, unmute yourself.
I just had one. I did. Can you hear me?
Yep, you're good.
Okay. Sorry, my laptop's camera apparently doesn't work. But
slide the thing on the top
started-
above the camera.
What's
You
that?
probably got the privacy.
Yeah, slide the
shutter on.
privacy thing over on the camera screen. On
Right
top,
above.
right above the camera.
There
There you
are.
go.
There he is.
Just to find out.
technology. I'm really good at technology, so that's my strong suit. God, I'm gonna list. Okay, so the conditional use permits that the village
Hey, folks.
currently.
Nope.
Hello.
Go ahead, Ian.
The conditional use permits that the village currently has going back to at least the mid 90s. We've gone through all of them that we can find.
You guys hear us?
We can, but we're giving a staff report at the
It's only
moment. So if you
audio.
guys can just mute until it's time, we'll get to you in a second. Thank you.
Yeah, so gone through all of them that we can find, and I went through a review of them. There's a few of them, I want to say probably 4 or 5 of them that are directly tied to site plans
Yeah.
and development
Can you
agreements
hear
that were
us?
approved.
On the
Sorry, guys.
Go
Go ahead,
Ian.
Ian.
Okay, so they're directly tied to site plans and development agreements that were approved along with the conditional use permit. And I've asked Maren to help trying to track those down because those weren't attached to the conditional use permits themselves in our files. I did find, I want to say 5 different conditional use permits ranging from 1997 to 2017, where the businesses that requested the conditional use and were approved are still in operation, maybe not the same owner. So going through those, and I'm contacting all of the business owners. Quick list would be Kate, Federal, Seco, Secor, and Landmark. there might be one or two more, but I'm contacting them and just letting them know that we haven't done a stellar job of reviewing them or doing any communication regarding their conditional use or inspecting their conditional use, and letting them know that we're going to start doing that, and just kind of reaching out to see if the conditional use permits still suit their needs. And if there's anything we need to work on, any of the conditions that currently aren't being met, or maybe different practices that they're employing that need to be updated in the conditional use permit. And so I told them that we'd waive all fees for doing that, other than, you know, postage and noticing. And so I sent one letter out Friday. The rest of them I typed up while I'm here at the conference, and we'll send out on Monday with copies of the conditional use permit so they can review them. That's it.
All right. Any other consultant or staff reports? All right, hearing none, we'll move into the public hearing. J&J Property Holdings LLC has requested to amend the comprehensive plan, future land use map for Baker's Woods, lot 38.
We should still be able to hear them.
To be changed from B-G General Commercial to Planned Unit Development District. I will open the public hearing at this time. Has the public hearing been posted appropriately?
Yeah, the public hearing was published in the Post Messenger Recorder on January 23rd and January 30th. I've included the affidavit of publication as part of the agenda packet. The agenda was posted at Village Hall, the Belleville Public Library, and on the Village Belleville website on Friday, February 7th.
All right. Are there any visitors wishing to speak on the matter of this public hearing?
I did see a hand.
Yeah.
Ron,
Yes,
go ahead, Ron.
okay. I'm not opposed to residential, but I am opposed to 3 stories. And I also think the village will regret changing the zoning from commercial down the road. As I heard at a meeting last fall, the village is expecting approximately 1,200 homes to be built in the next couple of years. And if that comes true, this village is going to need a couple more restaurants. And where are they going to go? And also, I looked at the plans. There's a lot of trees. And I happen to live in West Village, which is directly behind this. Well, the plans for West Village originally showed a lot of trees too. Guess what? We never got them. And again, another thing I realized was that these units are called condos. Well, in West Village, our units were called condos also, and sold as condos. Well, we found out they are not considered condos. They're considered single family residences. So there's a bit of a discrepancy there. And also, and regardless of what happens here, I think the construction yard, scrapyard on the property now needs to be cleaned up. I mean, we've looked at that for 2 winters, and a lot of people are upset about that. And the last thing I got to say is, personally, I wouldn't approve anything until landscaping in West Village is complete. And not only that, trees, but also our entrance road needs to be finished also. And we've been told, well, we'll do that with the next development. Well, if this development goes through, we're probably looking at another 2 years before we get our landscaping finished. So That's my 2 cents. But I do think a compromise from all residential though could be commercial on the first level, residential above, like was proposed on the east side of Olson. I think that would be a great compromise. Thank you.
Thank you.
We have a hand from Harry Veldhuis as well.
Yep.
Go ahead, Harry. Oh, you might have to unmute, sir.
I attended the meeting back in December, and just at that time mentioned that my interest was that the Baker's Woods development remain residential. A lot of single-family homes here. Our development, West Village, is 55 plus. We have a lot of interest in and enjoy having the single families homes around us. And I think there's plenty of room for development towards the west off of PB. That's where it seems most of the traffic is. I'm a little concerned about commercial in front of us on the south end, simply because I've seen a lot of that type of development up in Verona, and there just doesn't seem to be a lot of interest in that first floor commercial space, although I'm seeing quite a bit of activity and interest in the apartments above. But I'm a proponent of residential for Baker's Woods. So thank you very much for letting me speak.
We have a hand by Amy Bishop.
Hello. I am directly behind this development. I'm unit 8 on the diagram. And I agree with Harry. I don't want commercial in my backyard. A lot of times it can be vacant, so I agree with him. I do agree with Ron. I don't like the 3 stories, especially since I have a very tiny backyard, me and my neighbor. I am concerned about protecting my property and the value if I ever have to sell. And if there is barely any space between those houses and my very tiny yard, and if they're 3 stories, it's like looming over my home. And I think that's just too close for comfort, and it takes away a lot of my privacy. So if there was a way to maybe reconfigure those down to 2 levels, plus 33 units is really a lot to cram in that space. And like, if you think about cars, I mean, everybody has 2 cars. I mean, that's 66 cars. I mean, it just seems like very aggressively cramming them in there. If that could just possibly rework. Also, I know there was talk about a berm. Jim, have you like considered putting a berm between my property and this development to give us a little space and privacy? And I don't understand what that flood, like it says like like a stormwater pond. I don't know what that means, but it's like right in our backyard.
That's strange. I don't know what to tell you.
All right. Okay.
Are you guys back in the meeting?
I just came back in the meeting, but everything's still mute. I can't hear nothing.
Sorry about that, guys.
Yeah, I am.
So any questions that we have, we'll wait till after the public hearing for when we actually talk about the item. So we'll save that question until 1, they can hear, and then 2, once everybody's been able to ask their questions.
I will also put out, I was just say that we appreciate all public comments at this time. The item specifically we're talking about right now would be the comprehensive plan, change to the comprehensive plan, and then the zoning. Anything specific to the actual development will probably be discussed at a later date relating to a development agreement or whatnot. But this is specifically tonight on the zoning, whether we keep it at commercial, where we move it to, or whether we move it to the plan unit development.
Is there anyone else wishing to speak on this issue? Is there anyone else wishing to speak to this issue? Last call. Anyone else wishing to speak to this issue? Hearing none, I will move to close the public hearing. Moving along then, discussion to consider approval of resolution 2025-02, approving an amendment to the comprehensive plan for the Village of Belleville. Anyone on the plan commission wanting to speak to this? Anyone? Okay. I assume everyone's seen the resolution. I don't know that I want to read it in its entirety.
It's I mean, the resolution itself is pretty boilerplate.
Yeah,
What this basically does is takes the comprehensive plan, which the village is required to have, and just say we're okay with changing the zoning. Excuse me, from what it's at commercial now to the plan unit development, like in preparation for actually rezoning it.
Maren, you're
So
technically changing the future land use map and the comprehensive plan.
yeah. So
So-
if generally, if you guys are comfortable with changing that future land use and whatnot, that's where that resolution, approving that resolution would go ahead. If there's concerned about what the actual like desired use for that lot is, that's a good place to have that discussion.
That's and I think the site plan and everything else is obviously a separate conversation. This is just to address the rezoning. And I
If,
go
yeah.
ahead.
No, if you guys choose to amend the comprehensive plan or choose not to, then the next items automatically disappear. So because if you don't want to change the comprehensive plan, we don't go through the zoning process. So this is really the part in which you guys have to decide, do you want commercial or do you want multifamily on this lot? We're not going to talk about like what it looks like or how tall it is yet.
Your email.
But this is
close
more
out
of,
of
do you
this.
like the concept of this?
Right.
Yeah,
And-
and Chance, I'll weigh in here a little bit on this just because
Yeah.
I obviously live in the neighborhood out here. I still renew my concerns relative to this. Just if we're changing it to residential, we already are at a shortage of park space, and I know that we're not talking about the plan itself, but we're talking about putting a fairly large number of residential units in this instance in an already saturated under parked area basically in the village. That does cause me some pause relative to that. And I agree with what Ron mentioned earlier, that that I don't know that we're going to necessarily regret it per se, but I do think that the reason why this was zoned initially as commercial is really to kind of give us that
You're gonna be joining
commercial
the
exposure and transition between residential and the highway basically. So
Yeah, I think we've kind of talked about this in other meetings as well, and I don't necessarily have concern about taking it from commercial to residential. I'm growing weary of the path we're on to make this so extremely high density. We've entertained shrinking lot sizes and things like that, and I that's really my area for concern. We do need some apartments and things of that nature, but we have to balance the quality of life for everyone in the development and not just the developer's intent to essentially squeeze every dollar out of it as possible. I see Ian, you have your hand up.
So right now it's just is it business highway or general business? I think it's business highway zoned. Asking for the residential PUD. Residential PUDs have a minimum of 3 acres. So this would qualify because it's 4.3 acres. If you wanted to do a commercial PUD, the minimum is 5 acres. And so this isn't large enough to do that without some sort of variance or something. Just interjecting that.
Thank you.
But a commercial, it doesn't have to be a commercial PUD. It could be just commercial.
Yeah, right now it's purely commercial. And that's the way it was set up, my understanding, when it was platted. So it's been that way the entire time before a single home existed, as far as I know.
Anyone else have any other comments, concerns, points of discussion?
Hey, it's Jared. My concern has always been that we rezone these because we want to, the money I think is in the residential, but like going down the road, where do we stop? I mean, it seems like every time there's one more. So we want to make sure as we grow that we have ample opportunity and space for commercial properties to support that growth. So I am always just a little leery of that. It seems like over and over, we just have requests to rezone and change that from commercial to residential, but that's where my concern is.
Any other comments? Discussion? I guess hearing none, I will call the question. Is there a motion to approve the resolution 2025-02? Anyone?
Again, if this does not pass, then the next public hearing just will not happen. So,
Right. Well, I guess hearing no motion to even bring it for votes, I think it dies on the table. Anyone else? Any motion? Hearing none, I'm not going to move it along.
All right, we can just, if we're going to move on, we can skip on to item 11, old business.
Okay. Moving to old business, discuss and consider Plan Commission Resolution 25-01 approving conditional use permit for 107 West Main Street.
So this one relates back to the item we had at the last meeting, the conditional use permit, which you guys had approved. This is just the resolution stating that the approval that you guys put forth is now, we're making that official, and then we will take that to it has to go to the Register of Deeds. So we're just looking for an approval of the resolution on this one. You guys are already good with it.
I'll make a motion to approve Resolution 25-01.
Second.
Okay.
All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed?
Aye.
Hearing none, or hearing no opposition, that passes and is approved. Item 12 on the agenda, discuss and consider certified survey map application for N9697 County Highway CC. Everyone had, yep. Everyone had a chance to look at that? Are there any concerns?
Technically, it's not a CSM at this point. It was just kind of a conceptual map.
Okay.
Well, and I should explain, this is actually not in the village boundaries, but it's within the half mile of the village boundaries. And so it they have to get our approval for the CSM that they will then take on to Greene County. They're just looking for are we cool with this?
The whole point of reviewing these, the whole point of reviewing these is to make sure that the land division and the possible future use are jive with our comprehensive plan, land use plan. So. Does it?
I guess that's a question probably for the consultants and staff.
So,
Sorry,
and
there's
I've
no comment.
spoken to the owner, the gentleman, of the property. What he's doing is purchasing a portion of property near his land, so that when that whole area next to him does get developed, that he has a buffer between his land and whatever is going to be next to him. So it's oh, I had a point. It's gone. Okay. That's the purpose of the CSM eventually, though, is just he's just purchasing a small portion of land next to his land for to make his property bigger and to avoid any future neighborly disputes.
The future land use map shows it as rural lands.
Yeah. This is down to south of us, in Greene County.
I personally do not see a issue with it.
I don't either, but he's my neighbor, so I should probably recuse myself from any further conversation.
I don't see an issue either. I mean, he's looking just to create a buffer for when that does get developed down there, which it eventually will. So I don't think that's, an issue.
Do we need a motion or anything for this?
Yeah, just a motion to approve the application. It's fine.
I'll move that we approve the application.
Oh, Ian's got his hand back up.
What's up, Ian?
Buffering.
So sorry. So I know that I'm sorry, I don't know the gentleman's name who's selling the land, Fay. I don't know which one he is. But we have an easement, or maybe we don't have an easement in this general area to get to our water tower. I don't know the details. I know that we're just started working on it with Kevin to make sure that something is finalized so that we don't lose our access to the water tower. And so
this extension would not, that I can speak to.
That's just my concern.
Okay. This should not.
All right, I don't know. I was just asking.
The driveway for the easement is south of the parcel he's going to acquire.
Cool. I'm not really familiar with it. I've never been to the water tower that way. I've always gone through the school district. So
yeah.
Thank you.
We should be good there. I'm sorry, Jeff, were you making a motion?
No, I made the motion.
I think Gary made the motion. I'll second it though.
Okay. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposition? Hearing no opposition, that will pass and move along. If there's no other business on the agenda, I will entertain a motion for adjournment.
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
Second.
All in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Any opposition? Hearing none, we will conclude the meeting at 6:29. Appreciate everybody's flexibility with the weather.